Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Whether you're, prepping for a big meeting or trying to get your head around a complex new field or even
Mhm.
just, love learning new things, this one's for you.
Yeah.
We're diving into Muammar Lone's book, The Hybrid Professional's Guide to Strategic Case Analysis. It's all about how business analysis is changing, in our digital world.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating look at how professionals are adapting to this new landscape. The book really emphasizes the need for like a hybrid skill set, combining traditional business knowledge with a deep understanding of technology.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of jumped out at me was this idea that analysis isn't just local anymore, it's global.
Mhm.
The book argues that today's professionals need to be thinking about international markets, cultural nuances, even, geopolitical events. That seems like a pretty big shift from the traditional case studies that focused on single companies or national trends.
Yeah, it is a significant change. In the past, you might have been able to get by with a narrow focus, but now everything's interconnected. To succeed as a hybrid professional, you need to be able to analyze data within a global context, understanding things like cultural differences, international regulations, and how economies are linked is critical.
So it's not enough to just be a numbers whiz anymore.
Right.
You need to be able to see the bigger picture and understand how all these different factors play into it.
Exactly. It's about connecting the dots between data, global trends, and strategic decision making.
The book also dives deep into the importance of data. But it's not just about collecting mountains of it. It's about turning data into actionable insights. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, data is definitely the foundation, but the real value comes from what you do with it. The book calls this data integration, which essentially means pulling together information from different sources like internal databases, market research, even social media, and then analyzing it to find meaningful patterns and trends.
So instead of just looking at sales figures in a spreadsheet, you might also be analyzing social media sentiment to see how customers are responding to a new product launch.
Yeah.
That way you get a much richer understanding of what's actually happening.
Precisely. It's about using data to tell a story and then using that story to inform strategic decisions. And to do that effectively, you need a solid set of analytical skills.
The book actually introduces a framework called Digital R that outlines the key skills needed for this kind of analysis. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I'm curious to hear more about it.
Digital R stands for data-driven insights, governance and compliance, impact assessment, legal and regulatory aspects, and risk management. Each of these elements plays a crucial role in shaping a hybrid professional's approach to case analysis.
Okay, let's break that down a bit. Starting with data-driven insights, we've already touched on the importance of data analysis. But what about governance and compliance? Why are those important in this context?
Well, governance and compliance are all about ensuring that data is handled responsibly and ethically. Think about data privacy regulations, cybersecurity protocols, and ethical considerations around using AI and algorithms. A hybrid professional needs to understand these aspects to ensure that their work is not only effective, but also responsible and sustainable.
So it's not just about getting the results, it's about getting them the right way.
Exactly. And that leads us to impact assessment. This is about understanding the broader consequences of decisions. What are the potential social, environmental, or economic impacts of a particular business strategy? Hybrid professionals need to be able to think beyond the immediate bottom line and consider the long-term effects of their recommendations.
It's about considering the ripple effects of those decisions. And what about the legal and regulatory aspects? How do those fit into the picture?
Well, in today's globalized world, businesses operate in a complex web of laws and regulations. A hybrid professional needs to be aware of these legal frameworks and how they might impact different aspects of a business, from data privacy to international trade.
So it's not just about understanding the business side of things, it's also about understanding the legal landscape in which that business operates.
Precisely. And finally, we have risk management. This is about identifying potential threats and developing strategies to mitigate them. In today's rapidly changing world, businesses face a wide range of risks, from cybersecurity breaches to economic downturns.
So a hybrid professional needs to be able to anticipate those risks and develop plans to address them.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and having a plan B or even a plan C in place.
It sounds like digital R really does encompass a holistic set of skills, blending business acumen with ethical considerations, legal awareness, and a deep understanding of how technology shapes the landscape.
It does, and these are the skills that are becoming increasingly important for professionals across all industries. It's interesting, the book also talks about the ethical considerations around using AI, particularly in the context of business analysis.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We've seen a lot of discussion lately about the potential for AI to perpetuate bias, especially if the data it's trained on is skewed. It makes me think of those facial recognition systems that were struggling to accurately identify people of color.
Right, those are prime examples of why it's so important to think critically about the data being used and how AI algorithms are developed. If we're not careful, we can end up with systems that reinforce existing inequalities. A hybrid professional needs to be aware of these ethical implications and be prepared to advocate for responsible AI development and use.
So it's not just about the technical skills of building and implementing AI, it's also about the ethical considerations and potential consequences.
Exactly. It's about using these powerful tools in a way that benefits everyone, not just a select few.
The book also touches on the idea of sustainability metrics and the environmental impact of digital operations. How does that tie into the role of a hybrid professional?
Well, in today's world, sustainability is no longer a niche concern. It's a core business imperative. Hybrid professionals need to understand how their work impacts the environment, from the energy consumption of data centers to the ethical sourcing of materials.
So it's about factoring sustainability into every decision, whether it's choosing energy-efficient cloud providers or advocating for products and services that minimize environmental harm.
Exactly. It's about thinking holistically and understanding that business success is not just about financial profits, but also about environmental and social responsibility.
Now, the book goes beyond just laying out these concepts. It actually delves into some fascinating case studies to illustrate how these principles play out in the real world. I'm particularly intrigued by the Amazon case study. They've obviously been incredibly successful in leveraging digital technology to disrupt entire industries. What are some of the key takeaways from their journey?
One of the things that stands out to me is Amazon's relentless focus on innovation and customer centricity. They're constantly experimenting with new technologies, from drone delivery to cashierless stores, and they're always looking for ways to improve the customer experience.
Yeah, it's interesting because they started as a simple online bookstore, but they didn't just stop there. They kept expanding into new areas, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible with technology.
Exactly. And that's another key takeaway, their willingness to adapt and evolve.
Yeah.
The digital landscape is constantly changing, and companies that can't keep up will be left behind. Amazon has shown an incredible ability to pivot and embrace new trends, which is a big part of their success.
It seems like they're not afraid to take risks and experiment, even if it means failing sometimes.
Right. And that ties into their data-driven approach. They're constantly collecting and analyzing data to understand customer behavior, market trends, and even their own internal operations. They use this data to inform their decisions and drive continuous improvement.
It's a great example of how data can be used not just to understand the past, but also to predict the future and shape it.
Absolutely. Now, the book also contrasts Amazon with Patagonia, a company known for its commitment to environmental and social responsibility.
Well, that's a really interesting comparison. On the surface, they seem like very different companies with very different priorities. What makes Patagonia's approach to digital transformation stand out?
What's fascinating about Patagonia is that they've managed to integrate their digital strategy with their core values of sustainability and social responsibility. They're using technology not just to improve efficiency or drive profits, but also to advance their mission of environmental stewardship and fair labor practices.
So it's not an either-or proposition for them. They're demonstrating that it's possible to be both technologically advanced and ethically grounded.
Exactly. For example, they've been very transparent about their supply chain, using technology to track the origins of their materials and ensure ethical sourcing. They've also embraced e-commerce as a way to reach a wider audience and promote sustainable consumption.
It's like they're using technology as a tool to amplify their message and values, not just to sell more products.
Right. And that's a powerful example of how technology can be used to create positive change.
I think these case studies highlight the fact that there's no single blueprint for digital transformation. It's about finding the right approach for your organization, your values, and your goals.
Absolutely. It's about using technology in a way that aligns with your mission and makes a positive impact on the world.
Now, not every company can be Amazon or Patagonia, but there are definitely lessons to be learned from both of their journeys. The book emphasizes the importance of having a clear strategy, embracing innovation, and staying agile in the face of change. It also stresses the importance of thinking beyond the immediate bottom line and considering the broader ethical, social, and environmental impacts of our decisions.
It's about using technology as a force for good, not just for profit.
The book also dives into a cautionary tale with the Equifax data breach. That was a major wake-up call for many organizations about the importance of cybersecurity and data privacy. What are some of the key takeaways from that case study?
The Equifax breach really underscores the critical importance of having robust security measures in place. It's not just about protecting data, it's about protecting people's lives and livelihoods.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that even large, established companies can be vulnerable to cyber attacks.
Exactly. And it highlights the need for a proactive, multi-layered approach to cybersecurity. It's not enough to just react to threats. You need to anticipate them, build strong defenses, and have a plan in place for when, not if, a breach occurs.
And that plan should include clear communication protocols for handling a breach. Equifax faced a lot of criticism for their slow and inadequate response to the situation.
Right. Transparency and communication are absolutely essential in a crisis. People need to know what happened, what information was compromised, and what steps are being taken to address the situation.
It's about rebuilding trust, which can be incredibly difficult after a major breach.
Absolutely. Now, the book goes beyond just discussing cybersecurity. It also delves into the broader concept of risk management, which is an essential skill for any hybrid professional.
Yeah, risk management is about identifying potential threats and developing strategies to mitigate them. It's about being proactive and having a plan B or even a plan C in place.
Exactly. And that applies to all aspects of a business, not just cybersecurity. Hybrid professionals need to be able to assess risk, develop contingency plans, and make informed decisions under pressure.
So it's about being a strategic thinker and being prepared for the unexpected.
Exactly. Now, once you have a solid understanding of these principles, the next step is to think about how to actually put them into practice. The book provides a really useful framework for translating organizational goals into tangible outcomes.
I'm really intrigued by that framework. It sounds like it could be incredibly valuable for organizations of all sizes.
It is. The book calls it the Strategic Implementation Framework, and it essentially provides a roadmap for bridging the gap between aspiration and achievement.
Okay, let's unpack this. What are the key elements of this framework?
Well, it starts with strategy formulation, which involves clearly defining your organizational goals and objectives. What are you trying to achieve? What are the desired outcomes? What does success look like?
So it's about having a clear vision and a shared understanding of where you're going.
Right. Once you have that clear understanding, you move into the planning phase, developing a detailed roadmap for execution. This involves allocating resources, setting timelines, and creating a clear plan of action. The book emphasizes the importance of breaking down large goals into smaller, manageable steps.
So it's like building a house. You don't try to build the whole thing at once. You start with a solid foundation and then work your way up one step at a time.
Exactly. And just like in construction, communication and collaboration are essential. You need to make sure everyone involved understands the plan and is working together effectively.
So it's not just about having a plan on paper. It's about making sure that plan is translated into action.
Right. And that leads us to the actual implementation phase, where you put those plans into motion. This is where things can get messy. Unexpected challenges arise, priorities shift, and you need to be able to adapt and adjust course as needed.
So it's not a rigid top-down process. It requires agility and responsiveness.
Exactly. And that's where monitoring comes in. The book highlights the need for continuous tracking of progress and performance against those benchmarks you said earlier.
So you're regularly checking to see if you're on track and making adjustments as needed.
Precisely. And finally, you have the optimization phase, where you analyze the data you've collected, identify areas for improvement, and implement those improvements to enhance efficiency and effectiveness.
It's a cycle of continuous improvement, constantly refining the process to achieve better outcomes.
Exactly. Now, to support this process, you need a robust system for measuring performance. The book dedicates a section to performance measurement, outlining a system for evaluating results.
It's like having those inspections you mentioned earlier. You need to check if the house is structurally sound, if the plumbing works, if it's meeting all the necessary standards.
Exactly. The book stresses the importance of selecting appropriate metrics to measure performance across various dimensions, including business, technical, security, compliance, and importantly, impact.
Okay, let's break down those different types of metrics.
Yep.
What are some examples of business metrics?
Business metrics are those high-level indicators that give you an overall picture of how the organization is performing against its strategic goals. Think revenue growth, market share, customer satisfaction, profitability. Those are all business metrics.
So it's about looking at the big picture. Is the business thriving?
Right. Then you have technical metrics, which focus more on the operational efficiency and performance of systems and processes. Things like system uptime, response times, data processing speeds, error rates, those are all technical metrics.
So it's about making sure the machinery of the business is running smoothly.
Exactly. Then you have security and compliance metrics, which are all about measuring how well the organization is adhering to security protocols and regulatory requirements. These are critical for mitigating risks and ensuring that operations are conducted in a secure and compliant manner.
We've seen in the Equifax case how important those are, and you mentioned impact measurement. What makes that category of metrics unique?
Impact metrics go beyond traditional business metrics and aim to capture the broader social, environmental, and economic effects of an organization's actions.
So it's not just about profit and loss, it's about the organization's footprint in the world.
Exactly. The book emphasizes the importance of developing a comprehensive approach to impact measurement, considering both direct and indirect impacts, and utilizing a range of data sources to get a holistic view.
It's about connecting those business decisions to their real-world consequences, both positive and negative.
Right. Now, we can't talk about implementation and measurement without addressing security and compliance. They are absolutely essential in today's digital landscape.
Especially given the increasing sophistication of cyber attacks and the growing number of data privacy regulations.
Exactly. The book argues that security and compliance should be embedded in every aspect of the implementation process, not treated as afterthoughts or the responsibility of a separate department.
So it's about building a culture of security and compliance from the ground up.
Exactly. The book outlines specific measures that organizations should implement, including things like access controls, data encryption, vulnerability assessments, incident response plans, and robust monitoring systems.
And it's a lot to consider.
It is, but the book provides a practical roadmap for building that secure and compliant infrastructure, outlining tools, processes, and best practices that organizations can use.
And it emphasizes the importance of continuous monitoring and adaptation. The threat landscape is always changing, so you can't just set it and forget it.
Right, you need to be constantly vigilant and adaptable to stay ahead of the curve.
Now, even with the best laid plans and robust security measures, there's always room for improvement.
Absolutely. The book dedicates a section to continuous improvement, arguing that it's essential for long-term success in the digital age.
It's about constantly striving to do better, to refine processes, to learn from mistakes, and to adapt to changing circumstances.
Exactly. The book outlines specific methodologies that organizations can use to drive continuous improvement, such as the Plan-Do-Check Act, PDCA cycle, and Lean Six Sigma.
And these frameworks provide a structured approach to identifying areas for improvement, implementing changes, measuring results, and iterating based on feedback.
Right. It's a cycle of continuous learning and refinement.
Now, to support continuous improvement, you need a robust system for collecting, analyzing, and reporting data. The book dives into the world of analytics and reporting, providing a framework for building effective systems.
Data is the fuel that powers improvement. The book emphasizes the importance of having reliable data collection methods, robust data management systems, and the ability to analyze and interpret that data to extract meaningful insights.
It's about turning data into actionable intelligence.
Exactly. And it's not just about crunching numbers, it's about communicating those insights effectively to stakeholders. The book highlights the importance of visualization, using charts, dashboards, and other visual aids to tell a compelling story with data.
Because a spreadsheet full of numbers isn't going to inspire anyone to take action.
Right. The book provides specific recommendations for designing effective visualizations, choosing the right chart types, and using color and other design elements to make data come alive.
It's about making data accessible and engaging.
Exactly. Now let's talk about how to bring all these different systems and processes together seamlessly.
That's where integration and optimization come in, right?
Exactly. The book dedicates a section to these critical aspects, arguing that integration is essential for breaking down silos and ensuring that different parts of the organization are working together effectively towards shared goals.
It's like making sure all the rooms in the house are connected and flow smoothly into one another.
That's a great analogy. The book breaks down integration into two main categories: technical integration and process integration.
Okay, let's start with technical integration. What does that entail?
Technical integration is all about connecting the various IT systems and platforms used by the organization to ensure seamless data flow and interoperability. This might involve integrating legacy systems with newer technologies, implementing APIs for data exchange, or creating a unified data warehouse to consolidate information from different sources.
So it's about making sure the technical infrastructure is working together harmoniously.
Right. Then you have process integration, which focuses on streamlining workflows, eliminating bottlenecks, and ensuring that business processes across different departments are aligned and efficient.
So it's not just about the technology, it's about how people and processes interact.
Exactly. The book provides specific guidance on how to achieve both technical and process integration, outlining best practices, potential challenges, and strategies for overcoming those challenges.
It emphasizes the importance of having a clear integration strategy, identifying key stakeholders, securing buy-in from leadership, and of course, having skilled personnel to execute the plan.
And once you've achieved a good level of integration, the next step is optimization. The book outlines various optimization strategies that organizations can use to improve efficiency, performance, and cost effectiveness.
It's about getting the most out of your systems and processes.
Right. The book breaks down optimization into categories like performance optimization, process optimization, resource optimization, and cost optimization.
And it provides specific examples of optimization techniques within each category, from cloud optimization and server consolidation to process automation and lean management principles.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to work smarter, not harder.
Now, even with the best technology and processes in place, the success of any implementation or optimization effort ultimately hinges on people.
Absolutely. That's where change management comes in. The book dedicates a section to this crucial aspect of implementation and measurement, arguing that effective change management is essential for ensuring that new systems, processes, and technologies are adopted and utilized successfully.
Yeah, change can be challenging for people. It often involves stepping outside of comfort zones and learning new ways of doing things.
Exactly. The book emphasizes that change management is not just about communication, it's about addressing the human side of change, understanding the emotions, anxieties, and resistance that can arise when people are asked to adapt to new ways of working.
So it's about bringing people along on the journey, not just imposing change from the top down.
Right. The book outlines key principles of change management, including clear vision and strategy, stakeholder engagement, effective communication, and ongoing support and training.
It's about creating a supportive environment where people feel empowered to ask questions, voice concerns, and contribute to the change process.
Exactly. And it's an ongoing process, not a one-time event.
Now let's talk about another crucial aspect of implementation and measurement risk management. The book argues that effective risk management is essential for mitigating potential threats that could derail project success or negatively impact organizational objectives.
Right. It's about being prepared for the unexpected.
What are some common types of risks that organizations should be aware of?
The book breaks down risks into several categories, including technical risks, operational risks, financial risks, compliance risks, and strategic risks.
Let's take a closer look at each category. What are some examples of technical risks?
Technical risks are those related to technology failures, system integration issues, data breaches, or software malfunctions.
And operational risks.
Operational risks stem from breakdowns in business processes, human error, supply chain disruptions, or failures in communication and coordination.
Financial risks.
Financial risks involve budget overruns, unexpected costs, fluctuations in currency exchange rates, or changes in market conditions that could impact the financial viability of a project.
Compliance risks.
Compliance risks are those related to violations of laws, regulations, industry standards, or ethical guidelines.
And finally, strategic risks.
Strategic risks are those that could impact the organization's ability to achieve its long-term strategic objectives, such as changes in market trends, competitor actions, or shifts in consumer behavior.
Wow, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but the book provides a structured approach to managing those risks, starting with assessing their likelihood and potential impact, then developing mitigation strategies for those high-priority risks.
So you're prioritizing based on which risks pose the biggest threat. What are some common risk mitigation strategies that organizations can use?
The book outlines several approaches, including risk avoidance, risk transfer, risk reduction, and risk acceptance.
Let's break those down. What is risk avoidance?
Risk avoidance is simply choosing not to engage in activities or projects that carry a high level of risk.
Risk transfer.
Risk transfer involves shifting the responsibility for managing a particular risk to another party, often through insurance policies or contractual agreements.
Risk reduction.
Risk reduction involves taking steps to minimize the likelihood or impact of a risk, such as implementing security controls, developing contingency plans, or diversifying operations.
And risk acceptance.
Risk acceptance is acknowledging that a certain level of risk is unavoidable and choosing to accept that risk, often because the potential benefits outweigh the potential costs.
So it's a calculated gamble.
Right. Now, the book stresses that effective risk management is not a one-time activity, but an ongoing process that requires continuous monitoring, reassessment, and adaptation as circumstances change.
So it's about building a risk-aware culture within the organization, where everyone understands the importance of identifying and managing risks and feels empowered to speak up when they see potential threats.
Exactly. Now, all of this might seem overwhelming, especially if you're just starting out in your career, but the book offers some really valuable guidance on professional development for hybrid professionals.
That's a great transition. I was just about to ask about that. What are some of the key takeaways for listeners who are looking to build a successful career in this field?
Well, it seems like the book really emphasizes having a solid career roadmap, especially in this rapidly changing job market. It's not enough to just work hard anymore. You need to have a clear direction and a plan for getting there.
Yeah, it's like having a GPS for your career. You wouldn't set off on a cross-country road trip without knowing where you're going and mapping out a route.
Definitely not. You'd end up lost and frustrated.
Uh-huh.
So how does Lone suggest people go about creating this career roadmap?
Okay, great question.
He outlines a really structured approach that starts with self-assessment. This is where you take a good, honest look at your skills, strengths, weaknesses, and, most importantly, your aspirations. What are you passionate about? What are you naturally good at? Where do you see yourself in 5, 10, or even 20 years?
So it's about figuring out your starting point and your ideal destination before you even start planning the route.
Exactly. And once you've done that, you move into goal setting. This is where you set clear, measurable, and time-bound objectives for your professional growth. It's important to set realistic goals that align with your long-term vision, while also being flexible enough to adapt to changing circumstances.
So you're essentially setting milestones along your career journey, but you're also prepared to adjust course if needed. Kind of like having alternate routes on your GPS in case of road closures or detours.
That's a great analogy. The next step is something Lone calls skill gap analysis. This is where you identify the specific skills and competencies you need to achieve your career goals and compare them to your current skill set.
So you're figuring out what tools you need to add to your toolbox to reach your destination.
Exactly. And once you know what skills you need, you can create a structured learning plan. This plan outlines specific actions you can take to acquire those skills, the resources you'll need, and a timeline for achieving your goals.
So you're creating your personalized roadmap for professional development. It might involve taking courses, attending workshops, seeking out mentorship, or even pursuing a new degree or certification.
Right. It's about being proactive and taking ownership of your professional growth.
The book also stresses the importance of staying ahead of the curve when it comes to technology, which seems especially crucial in today's rapidly evolving digital landscape.
It is. Lone highlights several key technology trends that are shaping the future of work, including artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain technology, the Internet of Things, and cybersecurity.
Yeah, that's a lot to keep up with. It can feel overwhelming, especially for those of us who aren't necessarily tech experts.
It can be, but Lone emphasizes that you don't need to become a software engineer to thrive in this environment. The key is to develop a foundational understanding of these technologies and how they are impacting your industry.
So it's more about being technologically aware and adaptable than becoming a coding whiz.
Exactly. He recommends things like reading industry publications, attending tech conferences, participating in online forums, and even joining professional associations related to these technologies. It's about being a lifelong learner and constantly expanding your knowledge base.
It's like subscribing to travel magazines and blogs to stay up to date on new destinations and travel trends. Even if you're not planning a trip right now, you're keeping your options open and expanding your horizons.
I like that analogy. It's about being curious and open to new possibilities.
The book also talks about the importance of building a resilient career strategy in this dynamic job market. What does that mean exactly?
It means having a career that can withstand industry disruptions, economic fluctuations, and even personal challenges. It's about being adaptable and having a plan B or even a plan C in place.
So it's like having travel insurance and backup plans in case your flight gets canceled or your luggage gets lost. You might not need them, but it's good to be prepared for the unexpected.
Exactly. Loan provides several strategies for building career resilience, including diversifying your skill set, embracing lifelong learning, building a strong professional network, and being proactive about managing your career.
It's about taking control of your career destiny and not letting external forces dictate your path.
Right. And it ties back to that idea of continuous learning we were talking about earlier. The more you learn and the more adaptable you are, the better equipped you'll be to navigate the twists and turns of your career.
The book also emphasizes the importance of analytical skills in today's data-driven world. This seems like a crucial skill for anyone looking to excel in a hybrid role.
It is. The ability to collect, analyze, and interpret data is becoming increasingly valuable across industries. It's not just for data scientists anymore. It's becoming a core competency for professionals in all fields.
So it's not just about being able to read a spreadsheet or create a chart. It's about being able to extract meaningful insights from data and use those insights to drive decision-making.
Exactly. And Loan provides some practical advice for developing those skills, such as familiarizing yourself with basic statistical concepts, exploring data visualization tools, and even taking online courses or workshops in data analysis.
It's about building that data literacy, even if you're not a technical expert.
Right. Now, as we navigate this increasingly complex digital world, Loan also stresses the importance of developing a strong ethical compass. It's not just about what we can do with technology, but also about what we should do.
It's about using technology responsibly and thoughtfully, considering the potential consequences of our actions.
Exactly. And he provides some really helpful guidance on ethical decision making in the context of technology, outlining key principles and frameworks that can be applied to real world scenarios.
So it's about being a responsible digital citizen, considering the ethical implications of our work, and striving to use technology for good.
Absolutely. And finally, the book wraps up by emphasizing the importance of continuous professional development. It's not enough to just acquire skills. You need to constantly refine them, expand your knowledge, and adapt to the changing demands of the job market.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And Loan provides practical tips and resources for ongoing professional development, encouraging readers to embrace a mindset of lifelong learning and to invest in themselves and their future.
I think that's a great note to end on. It's about being proactive, adaptable, and always striving to learn and grow.
Absolutely. And it's about using our knowledge and skills to make a positive impact on the world.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights on this fascinating book. I think our listeners have gained a lot of valuable takeaways from our deep dive today.
It's been a pleasure discussing these important topics with you.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive insightful and inspiring. Remember, the journey of learning and growth never really ends. Embrace the challenges, stay curious, and never stop exploring new possibilities.
Until next time, keep diving deep.